So it could be how AI can be used to scale a business
Mhm.
or destroy it. Oh,
Yeah.
what do we mean about that? And then some good ways to use it, some terrible ways to use it, and some action. So that could be a couple of videos as well. So as a strategic brand showrunner, that's what I help people do. First, we might start with their book, we might start with their YouTube channel, we might start with, what are their keynotes talks. Well, first we
Sure.
start with what do you want?
Mhm.
And where's the money in this so that we build everything so it supports that. So, and
Love
I think you probably do this yourself as well. I'm a big believer in give, give, give. And then, hey, here's how you can work with me. Give, give, give. Here's how you can work with me. Oh, and speaking of that, I have a gift for
I
the
was hoping you'd
audience.
say
I
this.
have a gift.
I want to hear it. Or no,
Okay.
sorry, I want to receive it. That's I
Yeah.
want to hear it, but I want to receive it. Yes, please.
So we have a fun, fast, absolutely free gift, which is
Welcome to the Your Message Received podcast. And now, taking your message to the finish line, your host, John Duffin.
Hey folks, John Duffin here with Banff Media. Welcome back to another episode of Your Message Received. Your Message Received is the home, the place, the platform to help you find your most true, authentic business voice. Or heck, maybe it's just your most authentic voice. Get what you want, find what you need, improve your results. Meet the person of your dreams. I don't know that we make that happen for you today, but the fact is we continue to shoot for the stars. But I will say this, I believe strongly that the reason that people keep liking, watching, sharing, checking out my show is because we bring guests on who walk the walk. And that to me is what really excites me. So today, I absolutely believe is no exception. So, Aurora Winter is here to join us as well, too. I got to tell you, Aurora, who, by the way, as we talked before we went live, in addition to being an MBA, an award-winning author, a TV executive, and fractional showrunner.
we'll get into
8
that.
years old. Before I learned fully what showrunner meant, is exciting to me. She happens to help entrepreneurs build their own media empires. And so while most business owners are stuck in the content hamster wheel, Aurora's clients are building audiences over 100K subscribers before a book launch. Speaking of books, there's a brand new book that Aurora has created. Bestseller, by the way. Look at that. If you're watching the show, then you're seeing it. Brand strategy in the age of AI. Catch the wave, own the future, and turn words into wealth again. Please, turn words into wealth. 7 ways to make 7 figures as a thought leader. You gotta want that, right? Aurora, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's great to be on the show with you today. And I look forward to explaining to people what a brand showrunner is, or a fractional brand showrunner. But I think your audience and mine both share a desire to communicate more effectively, which is why I really like the name of your show, because I think the number one mistake in communication is assuming that the message sent is the message received. And that is not true.
Well, it has to be, right? I said it, so obviously they get it. So that was the reason I created the show in the first.
I love it. I love it.
That was the whole reason that it was. Oh my God, it's a little bit presumptuous to think that just because you threw it into the sky means that we all fully understand. And so I got to ask you. So 2 words. Fractional and showrunner. So here's what I used to think before I actually became a fractional business leader. So I thought fractional was part-time and showrunner was go for this, go for that. So that is how I put together the title. What got you into the entertainment industry?
I love entertainment. I'm obsessed with communication, all forms of communication, from stand-up comedy to writing books to having, performance like this. I'm just obsessed, and I just love communication. I like fantasy books. I've written fantasy books. I've
Mm.
written nonfiction. I've written award-winning scripts that got turned into TV series. I've been a TV executive producer. I actually raised $5 million, and with partner in London, England, we made 8 films. So communication in all its forms is what I absolutely love. But I want to tell you the origin story.
Please, please.
So the origin story, this is many years ago. I was in my
Mm.
20s, and I'd fallen madly in love. Had Was working as an executive, and my beloved was working as an executive, and we're like too madly in love. So we had to start a business because we wanted to be together, which is not exactly what you would call a 5-year plan. It's like emotional reasons.
Right?
Anyway, yeah. So we decided to start a business. He was a sailor, and I was good at market feasibility studies because my father's an economist. Anyway, so we started a little business with no money, and we started renting other people's boats and taking a management fee, which we thought would work, which
Mhm.
kind of worked, but sort of at the rice and bean level. And then I had a brilliant idea,
Okay.
or I thought it was a brilliant idea. It actually was $1 million idea. But until I got the $1 million message, our business was on the verge of bankruptcy. We were facing getting unemployment insurance, having to get real jobs, and give up our dream of having a business together.
Mhm.
The reason was the message sent was not the message received. So I was burying prospects with way too much information about this $1 million idea.
Mhm.
And they kind of glazed over. They knew that was excited about it, but it was taking too long for them to figure it out, and they would leave our office. So my husband looked at me and he's like, "This is not working." And I'm like, "You're right, it's not working." And he said, "Well, people really only want to use their boat for a few weeks a year anyway. The rest of the time we can charter it out and make money for them, so that with tax savings and with charters, somebody else will be paying most of the cost of the boats. They use their boat like 5 weeks a year." And I'm like, "That's it." So these are the 7 words that made $3 million in
Mm.
1 week and saved our business from bankruptcy. It was 5 weeks of sun, fun, and tax shelter. So that's a stand-up comedy kind of a line, because
Mm.
5 weeks of sun, fun, and you don't
Mhm.
expect tax shelter to be the
No,
last, right?
no.
It grabs your attention. You're like, you have to lean in and go, "What the? Tell me
Mhm.
more."
Yeah.
Those 7 words created radio hosts calling us. We were on radio. We were featured on the
Mhm.
front cover of a magazine, and a lineup of people at the boat show, and $3 million of signed orders in 1 week. So that was the moment when I went, "Oh my goodness! A great idea is not enough, but a great message to go with a great idea can make millions in a week." And so that began my own journey of going, well, what's the message?
Mm.
What's the core message that I have to share or that my clients have to share? And how can we distill it into something really succinct and compelling that will have their prospects or mine lean in and go, "Tell me more."
Aurora, how many times did you have to create something before you got to 5 weeks of sun, fun, and tax shelters?
Well,
I'm
we
guessing
were
that wasn't the first
that was
take,
not the first
right?
try.
Okay,
To be honest, John,
right?
the first take was, I guess I was in my 20s. I was fresh out of university. My
Sure.
father's an economist.
Mhm.
So I would bury people with a phone book size all the information you could ever want to know
Mhm.
about how taxes work, how yachts work, how chartering works, and what marginal tax rate will produce what tax savings. And this is a common mistake that especially smart people make, but engineers or technical people or
Right.
coders, or even somebody who's like such a master at their craft that they've been doing it for 30 years, it's so easy to start on step 47
Mhm.
because you know your stuff. But the other person is like, what? They're just in the middle of driving their car or buying their groceries. They need step 1. And so what is step 1? And I don't know, I'm kind of obsessed with communication as you are. And
Yeah.
so I almost have endless patience for nailing that message,
Mhm.
because you'll know when you're close, because people will start leaning in, and you'll know when you've nailed it when people kind of gasp in surprise and like, "What? Tell me more."
I so relate to this. It was one of the things that drew you to me in the first place in regards to being a guest on my show. But I remember, I can picture, I came from a career of advertising sales, television primarily. And so I can still remember a specific conference room with a advertising agency, and the person that was in charge, pardon me, she was great, very cool. She got us to the meeting. I just always liked her, you know?
Mhm.
And so we come in. So I want to do right by her. I remember. So we created two things. One, this freak show length presentation. Uh, and I made the horrific mistake because I'm pretty good at checking stuff, but apparently pretty good and very good that day were two very different things. So I left the page numbers on each page of the PowerPoint deck.
Mhm.
And she literally says, Mary is her first name, and I won't out her. I just think she's a rock star. And Mary says, "This isn't really 90 pages, is it?"
Oh, no.
Well, yeah, but it goes really fast and it moves really. She goes, "John, we're ad people. We're not that deep." I almost died. Almost freaking died. Secondly, brought a clown car of number of people to show up to hammer the 90 pages home. So each time we would go through a page, you had to have 7 people chime in with their version of the page. It was awful,
Oh my gosh, I feel
awful,
so bad for you.
awful. Awful. We bludgeoned people with data, and to come to a conclusion. And again, I'm coming back to 5 weeks of sun fun, and I was going to say sun fun and train wrecks, sun fun and tax shelters, that to get to our audience buys cars, or our audience grocery shops, you know.
Right.
And it was like that sense of, so you do several versions of it to get to that point. What was it like? Do you remember when you got to the point? I don't mean the reaction, because you already shared with me the results and I love it. But do you remember thinking, "Oh wait, that's pretty good"? Do you, like, is it?
Yeah, there was a big aha in that
Yeah,
moment, but we
yeah,
tried so many other things, but you could sort of feel it. Unless you're completely exhausted, you can sort of feel the sparkle of energy when you
yeah.
nail it and you're like, "Ooh,
Mhm,
that's good.
mhm,
Let's use that."
mhm.
But there were so many times that, the difference, in fact, my whole life has been one of struggle and then breakthrough, struggle and
Mm.
breakthrough, struggle and breakthrough, and the breakthroughs were always caused by language. The
Mm,
struggle, I don't know, all kinds of different reasons. So, for
right.
example, my beloved husband, the one that I did the yacht business with, actually died at the age of 33 when our son was 4.
Mm,
That, as you can probably imagine, was completely devastating.
yeah,
Um, but it also had the problem that it left me with a 4-year-old to look after, no business because we'd sold it, no
right.
husband, and the disaster, train wreck, to use your language,
Sure.
of we were building our dream home on the lake in a ski resort, and it was partly complete, which meant I had no idea where the kitchen cabinets went. I had no idea who was paid or not paid, and I couldn't live in it. I couldn't rent it, and it was very hard to finish it. It was like
Mm,
sucking all of the cash. It was a
yeah.
big problem. But anyway, I want to tell the story of a couple of months after that. I was still pursuing my dream of being a screenwriter.
Mhm.
And I went to a party. My friend dragged me to the party because he's like, No more of this moping at home grieving.
Right.
That's not
Sure.
helping you." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Yes, really. Come with me." So
Mhm.
I sat at the bar, really not wanting to talk to anybody, and struck up a conversation with somebody who seemed to have a similar idea of avoiding networking.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my friend is networking smoothly like
Mhm.
Don Draper. Anyway, so, and the guy asked me, "So what do you do?" And I boldly said, "I'm a screenwriter." although I had nothing produced by that point. But I'm like, okay, I'm a screenwriter. He's like, well, what are you writing? And I got all excited because I get excited. And I told him about my screenplay. And after I finished, he said, well, would you like to represent the province of British Columbia at the Banff Film Festival, Banff Media Festival? I'm like, who are you? And he said, I'm Wayne Sterloff, the CEO of BC Film. I'm like, I had no idea that's who I was pitching.
Sure.
So then my shoulders went into spasm. Was I going to say yes?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, because I really had nothing to lose. My life was a train wreck without my husband, as you can probably imagine. So I said yes. The next morning, the phone rings and it's a producer. She said, oh, I hear that you're going to pitch your screenplay at the Banff Media Festival. Do you mind if I follow you around with a documentary film crew? I'm like, but I said yes. And so then fast forward, I'm about to pitch my screenplay. My shoulders go into spasm. I had to go to the chiropractor and have a massage because I thought, okay, I'm going to pitch this idea in front of 600 movers and shakers in Hollywood and Canada. And I can blow my reputation in one fell swoop. And anybody who missed seeing it can watch it later on TV because it's being filmed. So that was a lot of pressure for a young widow. But anyway, I did my pitch. It went really well. It sparked a bidding war. And in fact, it became a documentary feature film that they used, or documentary segment they used to teach the art of pitching at the Banff Film School. So that was pretty cool. And my agent ended up fielding offers on my behalf. So that was another aha moment in my life when I realized, 20 minutes speaking to the right people with the right message can change your life. So it went from, working at home alone, avoiding people because I was grieving,
having your life destroyed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To being basically getting a 6-figure bump and getting a position as head of development for Canada's largest film and television production company.
Which is spectacular.
Which was a spectacular result. And suddenly my life was moving forward again in a positive direction. And later I became vice president of a film company in Los Angeles and later started my own film and television production company, raised $5 million and made 8 films with a partner. So, but that 20-minute, okay.
I want to go back. Do you mind? Can I stay in the 20 minutes?
Yeah.
I just stay in the 20 minutes.
Okay, you go.
Great. So in that 20, so first off, there was the preparing for the 20 minutes.
Yes.
How were you able, do you remember how you were able to, I can't think of another word, declutter, so to speak, that you had to declutter with all of the very real life baggage, I'm calling it, right? And then you then had to, as opposed to this deluge of info that was typically how it was going, to then synthesize into a tight 20 minutes. So I'm interested in the process, especially based on the extraordinarily difficult circumstances coming in.
Oh, thanks for asking. Yeah, I do remember because I keep a journal and I wrote about it. So I practiced out loud because I was very comfortable writing and my screenplay was the written word.
Yeah.
And I was quite academic. So I'm all theoretical. But when I said the message out loud, I could hear it was too complicated. Because a screenplay is 100, 120 pages, and I had 20 minutes, but I wasn't speaking all that 20 minutes. Somebody was going to interview me, so I had to be ready to have maybe 10 minutes of content broken into pieces that could be separated.
Yeah.
So I felt like the first few times, or I practiced for 3 weeks. And this is another thing. It's worth spending the time to practice. We can get into that.
Okay.
So the first many times that I practiced, I felt like my story was like a kitten was playing with yarn and had gotten all snarled up together. I don't know if you can relate, but if you've got too much going on, it's like if you play with all the colors and you mix them together, you get mud. So I realized, okay, I have to take it more slowly. I have to break it down. I have to have like, what are the clear themes here? What do I really want to say? What is this screenplay really about? And it was actually about absent fathers and lost sons, which was very dear to my heart, seeing as my husband just died,
Sure. Yeah.
leaving my son without a father. So I practiced many times in front of the mirror. I would practice when I went for a walk or when I went jogging. I would record myself and listen back. And eventually, it's not like it wasn't changing every second until I got up on the stage.
Yeah.
But what was, I think, really good about my presentation is I remembered to connect to my heart. I was also at that time, I taught aerobics at Gold's Gym. So I was used to standing in front of the audience and going, 8 more, 7 more.
Right.
So I was comfortable in my body, and I chose to connect more emotionally and passionately and enthusiastically with my topic and be willing to let go of a few imperfections in the language. But that I think worked because it made it alive.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that human dynamic of making something like, to me, I commend you because as I'm getting more experienced in at life stuff and business things and all that, I realize that you just said something a minute ago when you talked about that you need to take the time to practice.
Yes.
And that then I equate to work. And I'm learning that when I'm distracted, that's the last thing I want to do. And I mean it because I'm too
Yeah.
distracted to
Right.
be able to like enjoy the process or allow the process to work for me. And that's why I use words like declutter and all that stuff.
That's a good word.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, I literally just did a social media post a couple days ago, and the visual that I stole off of whatever AI app that I was using was a cat and yarn, and
Ah,
and so honest to God, because and I'm not really a cat person, but I like the yarn bit because that's to me why so many good ideas go to die because it's so hard sometimes to do it, not because people aren't talented, that I'm a big believer. It's just that they just don't have the mindset to be able to tolerate that. So,
I would like to offer that it's because nobody has taught people that you
uh,
have to
sure.
practice.
Thank you. I like
Nobody
it.
has taught people. So I think most people listening to your show will be very familiar with the
Yeah.
80-20 rule, the Pareto principle.
Hmm.
But I like to talk about the 64-4 rule because if you take 20% of 20%, that's
Yeah.
4%. And if you take 80% of 80%, that's 64%. That
Let's
me%
do it.
that
Let's do that. I want to
4%
stay
of
here.
your
Yeah.
time
Mhm.
can produce the bulk of your results.
Say it again. I talked over you.
4% of your time
Mhm.
can produce the bulk of your results.
Okay.
So, what is in that very high leverage 4%?
Hmm.
For me, the answer is obvious. It is communication. Because when other people understand what I am saying, all kinds of doors open. And when they don't, the doors don't open.
Hmm.
And I invite us to consider people like Steve Jobs. He practiced
Yeah.
for 3 weeks before an
Mhm.
Apple launch. Where to stay, where to stand, when to pause, what to show.
Hmm.
Why did he practice? I mean, he was running a big company. It was because it was worthwhile. And I think I really want to challenge our audience to decide to choose to spend 4% of your time practicing and
Oh.
honing your communication. In my book, Turn Words into Wealth, I've got all kinds of fill in the blank templates that will help you break this down into simple, straightforward steps. And I really urge you, collect your own stories. We can give some blueprint examples if you'd like,
Yeah.
but also collect the stories of the clients or patients whose lives you have transformed, because having those stories practiced and memorized and ready to pull out of your pocket will
Mhm.
just smooth all of your sales pitches and all of your communication. I do want to say there was a teachable moment about the pitch that I also didn't want to miss, and I'm going to confess
Sure.
this very humbly.
No, got it. Great.
Very humbly. So
That's so good.
the positive takeaway from
Mm.
my 20-minute pitch that changed my life and launched me into little mini celebrity status in the film and television industry was that the right words at the right time to the right people can change your life. One 20-minute pitch can change your life.
Mm.
But and I did practice, and obviously I did a good pitch because it
Mhm.
had a good result. But what I didn't prepare for was if the pitch went well, what was I going to ask for?
Ah,
So I failed to prepare the business side of the equation. And that's partly what drove me to write Turn Words into Wealth, because I never want people to be unprepared. Because a lot of creative or inspired people do things from the goodness of their heart, and then they completely sabotage their success,
yeah.
as I did. Fortunately, my agent saved me. But as I potentially did, gathering all that attention, getting a bidding war,
Mm.
sparking a little bit of fame,
Mhm.
but then what? What to ask for? So my agent handled it and that saved the day. But I realized, holy moly, I was not prepared. And I never want that to happen to other people. So whether you're creating something from the goodness of your heart, or you're doing a podcast, or you're writing a book, or you're
Right.
into business, it serves us, if we want to be in business instead of in a hobby, to have the answer or have several
Yeah.
answers to how people can engage with you more,
Mhm.
play with you, work with you, etc.
I'm glad you came back to that because I think again, it's not just good ideas going to die, but it's also the inability to optimize a situation.
Yeah.
That to me, I feel badly. I've experienced it. I'm not pointing fingers or passing judgment. I've experienced it, which is why the cliche in sales was leaving money on the table, right? And so I understood that, but it's more than that. It's just realizing that you're being sold short, and if you're the one that allowed that to be, then the feeling is even worse. And I've definitely in my life experienced it firsthand. So I'm really glad you went back there because that to me is a critical part of this. So you become as you're called. I'm only mimicking your words. You're the one that said mini celebrity, not me. Right? I think it's great, the story. So as I said, so you're now in this scope, and your agent saves the day. Talk to me, if you would, about your own transition of realizing that there was a lot more in you than just that 20-minute pitch or that singular big idea for renting the boats. Like, what gave you I ask this, I try to ask this of everybody, what gave you the guts to strike out and become, I mean it, because like I said, it's you're we're in a gutsy field already. A lot of people don't do it because they're afraid of what you did, but how did you come
Well, I'm going
up
to be
to
completely
create the
transparent here.
business?
I'm going to be transparent here.
Yeah.
I had no choice. I
Okay.
was a widow and I had a 4-year-old son, and I
Yeah.
had to make it work.
And I
And
have completed, Lake House, so yeah.
yeah, I had to somehow complete the lake house, trust that people were anyway, bunch of problems that I had to solve. But here's what I'd love our audience to know.
Yeah.
Like, go for it. Fear is false evidence appearing real, and
Right.
fear is normal and natural. And you don't have to wait until you feel confident or until you don't have any anxiety or fear or doubts to take that first step. So, but take the step in the direction you want to go. Like, I always wanted to be a screenwriter or an author,
Mm.
and I love helping people with their message. So I took steps towards who I authentically am, and that generally seemed to work. But every now and again, I would hit my head against the wall, and things would stop, and then I'm like, okay, I must be out of alignment. If things aren't working in my life, I'm either making a mistake about not being who I truly am, or I'm not communicating clearly enough, or something else is happening, but I need to look at this more closely.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to answer your question. Not
Mm.
sure if that did, but for example, after being in the film business, which I
Right.
really loved, I realized, you know what? the film business is not kind to people once they reach 40.
Okay.
And so I thought, maybe it would be good to just acknowledge that instead of getting a little long in the tooth in a very 20-something kind of a business.
Mm-hmm.
So I searched my heart and I'm like, how can I help other people? I published my first book. I've written many before I published it. I've written
Right.
3. And it became the book From Heartbreak to Happiness, an intimate diary of healing. I actually just stumbled across my old diary where I kept notes after my husband died.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even looking for it. I stumbled across it and I flipped it open and I couldn't put it down. My own diary, I couldn't put it down. So 2.5 hours later, I'd read the whole thing and I thought, this would have helped me when I was grieving because I didn't really want to read 9 steps to this or something from a therapist. I
Right.
wanted to know, like, should I just shoot myself now and get this
Yeah.
over with?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
is this normal? C.S. Lewis's book, A Grief Observed, which later became the movie Shadowlands, that book really helped me. So I felt prompted to publish it in the hopes that it would help other people reduce their time of suffering and understand that they didn't need to feel that they were weird or that they needed to commit suicide, that this was just, part of the intense grieving process. And after I published that book, I thought, okay, that's it. That's my gift to grieving people. Now I'm moving on to the next thing. But I discovered actually books bring people to you. I got on radio. Many people called me and they said, would you coach me through grief? I'm a young widow too,
Right.
or I just lost my child, or I just lost my job. And so I started coaching people through grief. And in the same week, 2 clients that I loved asked me the same question. And this led to my next business. So you'll see the pattern of problem solution. So both of them said, hey, you helped me more in that one session than my therapist has helped me. And I love my therapist.
Sure. Right.
Would you teach me how to coach like you do? And so I'm like, okay, I guess that's the next idea. And I launched the Grief Coach Academy with my mission was to change how people thought about and recovered from grief. At that time, people were saying, you can't coach somebody through grief. You need therapists. And so I took a contrarian stand because I had been already coaching people through grief. And I was very passionate that grief is a normal and natural reaction to loss. And I also discovered the research that people who deal with a devastating loss, whether it's loss of a spouse or a child or a career or even of a community or an identity, can suffer for 5 to 8 years. Whereas I had evidence from my clients that within a few months, they were so much better. It was like a mini miracle. So that launched the next message and the next business, which eventually I sold. And that became the Grief Coach Academy. And the message there was, grief is a normal and natural reaction to loss. Without support, people typically, on average, suffer 5 to 8 years, and that's just too long. With the right coaching, they can recover much faster. So that business and whole mission came from my heart, but that clear message attracted radio, TV. I got an Elle magazine. I was, featured on Success magazine and on television, KTLA, ABC, NBC.
Yeah.
And it drew people to me. And at the time, the coach training outfits said, "No, you can't coach somebody through grief." Nobody did it.
Right.
Later, of course, they copied me when they're like, "Oh, I guess she proved it can be done." So the message there is, what do you know that works that everybody else in your industry says can't be done? Can you lean into that? And maybe that is your secret sauce.
I think there's such a powerful freedom to figuring something like that out. I just think that, especially the way you describe that, I've gone through grief very recently, and it's just the fact. I think one of the things that I come to realize, which is I'm in recovery. There are certain things about me that I've learned. And when you talked about that sense of you getting pushback in the general field because you were not a therapist, or that you don't have whatever X specific educational credential is, that I brought up the recovery part because often the expression is that you only go to people that have gone through it. And so that's the only reason. And you made me think of that in that regard. And when you just brought up grief, it's such a great reminder because, like, for myself, it's the loss of a sibling, and that just occurred
Oh,
about a month
that's
and a
huge.
half ago. And
Oh,
from this recording, and that sibling's name is Denise, and I honor Denise all of
mm,
the time. But what I would say is one of the challenges I have faced, and I really like that you brought that up, is that the sense that I want to keep it secret. I want to keep it down. I don't want to talk about it. I just want to,
mhm.
move on, right? And then you don't, and you can't.
Yeah.
And then you hear, like you talk about 5 to 8 years is the standard. I think it's really important for those watching and listening this episode to realize that if you have some sort of direct experience, echoing Aurora's words, which is it's really important that secret sauce get shared because so often they're the people that help people. So you have the academy. And I think it's genius and right. And that it was a question. I thought of one more thing too, an acknowledgement to you, which is one more way that you were able to utilize, like you were able to condense something to a 20-minute presentation under difficult circumstances. Uh,
Mhm.
but doing the work to get it to there saves such an extraordinarily long period of time. And as opposed to 5 to 8 years, somebody doing the work with someone who's been through it like you, that coaching style can save them an enormous amount of time too. It's not just
Well,
efficiency, it becomes life changing.
exactly. I totally recommend people get coaching or otherwise have a safe place to express their feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to introduce you to one of my clients who's a TV host, and he actually loves to help people through sibling loss and even
Hmm.
wrote a book about it called Why Don't They Cry? His name is Xander Sprague. I'll introduce you. I'm not coaching people through grief anymore. I sold that
Hmm. Yeah,
business.
right. Right. I
But
understand. But
and I see it like, goodness, this time is going by so fast. So
yep.
I want to share just one more message, although I've got many, but there were many times when a concise message really changed the trajectory of my
Hmm.
life.
Hmm.
So at Same Page Publishing, which is the company that I run now,
Right.
we launch thought leaders. So that is it. It's just like four
Mhm.
words. We launch thought leaders.
Mhm.
And that is clear, right? We don't just publish books. We don't just help people create videos. Yes, I do act as a brand showrunner to help people create content that's got meaning over a season, over an arc, that'll build their business, that'll build their brand. But I think what's really unique and special about my company, Same Page Publishing,
Mhm.
is we launch thought leaders. So it's not just a book. We get people media trained, we get them ready to go on podcasts.
Mhm.
My team books them on podcasts, and we usually also help them create a best-selling, award-winning book. So that whole obviously they could go to 10 different people and get launched, get their book launched, get their podcast launched, get their YouTube launched, shoot videos, edit videos, but that's a lot for somebody to manage.
Oh.
And so we just solve that problem for them in
Mhm.
one package. And that's what we do at Same Page Publishing. We launch thought leaders. So, and I hope you can hear the theme of condensing the biggest
Yes.
value into something really tight.
Mhm.
In this case, we launch thought leaders.
And then I keep coming back to you talking about uh, your ability to be able to speak from the heart. So it did I would like to think as I like part of your Same Page Publishing website, which by the way, uh, as we talked about, I'm today years old when I officially learned what showrunner is. But I think about that sense of continuity. So I read
Mhm.
one of the classic definitions of being a showrunner was that there are in certain like television genres, or whether it's the Yellowstone franchises or the
Mm.
shrinking Ted Lasso franchises, that there are executive producers that come and go maybe episode by episode, but somebody has to be able to have the wherewithal to know the continuity of that continuum. And for you, Aurora, when I think about people reaching out to you, which is the sense that, yes, write a book, launch a YouTube channel, but it's so individual to the person that's reaching out to you,
Yeah.
rather than just a cookie cutter sense of that. How are you able to synthesize for these individuals like big dreams? Like, they're bringing you all of this, their journals and their dreams and all that stuff. How are you able to condense to help somebody get it to a manageable form?
Well, that's my secret sauce, I guess. I
Yeah.
love people. I love communication. I love pulling the gold out of people's stories.
Mm.
But we have a process that is really great. First, we start with a brand strategy review, which is, who are you and what is your goal with your book and your brand and your business? So we want
Right.
to make sure that everything we do feeds your goal, feeds your business, feeds your brand, and launches you to the next level of a thought leader. So that is like the Bible. If you're writing a TV series, you would have a Bible. So we have a brand Bible. That's the heavy lifting we do in the first month, the brand
Right.
strategy. And after that, we either shift to helping the person get media trained so they can get on podcasts and that we can launch their YouTube channel with videos so that
Mm.
is them on camera, or else we make an animated avatar. So that's for the people who really want to get things going fast,
Yeah.
maybe don't want to write a book or maybe already have a book.
Mm.
For the people who want to write a book, once we've got the brand blueprint clear with the business plan and where's the money in the whole plan for
Right.
them, then we do a table of contents and outline their book. And then it's so fun and easy for them because I just
Mhm.
interview them. Each chapter, say it's a 10 chapter book, I just interview them for each chapter. Most people can talk very easily and passionately about their topic of expertise. We already know what our plan is for the overall book. So they talk, boom, bing, bang, boom. We have the transcript. I turn that into a draft, we polish it up, and there we've got the book. The thing that most people miss if they just publish a book themselves, or maybe they go to a company that helps with just book publishing,
Right.
I feel this is so tragic. This is really heavy on my heart. This is so important that people
Mm.
don't know this by and large. It's like, you don't want to press publish on your book and then have crickets happen. You need to, well, you're best served to build the audience, build your community before your book comes out. So I love to see people get their social media, their YouTube channel, their videos, their content, get lined up on podcasts, be interviewed on podcasts, get their email list, get all of the machinery of being a thought leader in place. And then the book is published to an audience that already exists. This is a tragic mistake
Mm.
because most people they don't do that. Most people, they publish the book and they're like, "Oh, only my mother bought it." Maybe
Yeah, and she didn't even buy it really. I gave it to her. You call something applying the movie trailer mindset.
Yes.
And is that when you're talking about this framework, is that what you mean, or is that something else?
Oh, yeah, I love the movie trailer mindset. There's kind of
Mm.
2 things. We have the movie trailer mindset, and then we've got kind of the Netflix series mindset.
Yes.
The movie trailer mindset means 8 seconds. Give it to me in 8 seconds, baby.
Mm.
That's all the attention you get. And that 8 seconds can give you permission to have a longer conversation.
Right.
So the 8 seconds is 5 weeks of sun, fun, and tax shelter.
Mhm.
The 8 seconds is we launched thought leaders.
Mhm.
But then the Netflix is, all right, so what would be the arc of series? So or the table of contents of a book. So for example, in Turn Words into Wealth, there's one chapter, it's all about how we backing up. Turn Words into Wealth is been updated for 2026. It just came out March 2026, and that's all
Right.
about how to be the expert that AI quotes, not the one it replaces. So I really lean into that. And one of the chapters in the book is what are your 4 human superpowers that can really define a
Mhm.
brand in the age of
Mhm.
AI. And then the next chapter is how to use AI to leverage and scale your brand, not destroy it. So you can see I've got whatever 12 chapters in that book, but you can
Right.
see each one of these things could be several videos on a YouTube channel. there could be at least 4 videos about your 4 human superpowers,
Mm.
maybe 6, because 1 to introduce the concept, 1 to go deep into each 4, and then 1 to wrap it up. And the other one around AI, you can see how that could also be a series of episodes. I'm just using my book as an example, but
Right.
any content will do. So it could be how AI can be used to scale a business
Mhm.
or destroy it. Oh,
Yeah.
what do we mean about that? And then some good ways to use it, some terrible ways to use it, and some action. So that could be a couple of videos as well. So as a strategic brand showrunner, that's what I help people do. First, we might start with their book, we might start with their YouTube channel, we might start with, what are their keynotes talks. Well, first we
Sure.
start with what do you want?
Mhm.
And where's the money in this, so that we build everything so it supports that. So, and
Love
I think you probably do this yourself as well. I'm a big believer in give, 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 and then, hey, here's how you can work with me. Give, give, give. Here's how you can work with me. Oh, and speaking of that, I have a gift for
I
the
was hoping you'd
audience.
say
I
this.
have a gift.
I want to hear it. Or no, I'm
Okay.
sorry, I want to receive it. That's
Yeah.
I want to hear it, but I want to receive it. Yes, please.
So we have a fun, fast, absolutely free gift, which is, are you ready to launch as a thought leader? And it's just 20 questions, and it will let you know where you stand today on your 4 human superpowers, on your message potential, on your business readiness, and your launch ambition, on these various things. It'll take, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes to complete
Mhm.
it. And at the end, you get a result. And the result is, hey, I've got a great message, but I need to work on my business. Or, hey, I've got a great business, but I need to work on my message, or whatever the case will be. And so it lets you know immediately what your launch score is. And in fact, I invite people who are reading Turn Words into Wealth to
Yep.
take the launch score before they start reading the book, and then after they've read it, and notice how their score improves. So you can get that free test, free quiz at thoughtleaderlaunch.com.
And
That
folks, I promise you that link will be in the bio. We that to make certain that and again that's
thoughtleaderlaunch.com.
thoughtleaderlaunch.com. That's fabulous. So
It's a little hard to say the th of
no,
thought leader, but
I
thought leader launch.
I get tongue tied enough, but no, it's worth it. But tell me one more time that they do the test first and then go through the book, or go through the book and then
I would love people to grab a copy of Turn Words into Wealth on Amazon or wherever you like to
yeah,
get
where
your
right.
books.
Link will be there
And
for that book too.
and you'll see at the beginning of the book, it invites you to do several things. One is to take the quiz. I'd
Mhm.
love for people to take the quiz before they start reading the book, and then
Great.
after they've finished reading it, so they can get a sense of, oh, their score will improve. The other cool thing about Turn Words into Wealth, I really wanted to make it super valuable for people. Like, on average, people only implement 5% of what they read in a book, even if the book is great. So there's actually a bonus of an online workbook. So people can get their own workbook. It's on a Google
Great.
Doc, so they can save
Okay.
it. It's private, so they can answer the questions to the fill in the blank templates. And I'm one of the only people in the world who has videos in the book, because I'm teaching people about, video is no longer optional in 2026. I'm like, I'm
Right.
going to put video links in my book. So instead of footnotes, which are such a academic thing, if I if there's a topic that I thought, oh, people might like to go deeper on this, or I'm talking about creativity, or I'm talking about art, or I'm talking about somebody who dresses in a weird Victorian way. I mean, I thought it would be kind of fun for them to have a link for free. There's no opt-in to watch a little video about it and expand on that topic if that's of interest to them. So there's 4 bonuses for free in the book Turn Words into Wealth.
That's a lot of bonuses, and I'm very,
Yes.
very grateful that you're hooking up my audience, and I'm assuming you don't do this for anybody else. So therefore, I will just say thank you from the bottom of my heart. One more question for you, though, for the moment, because before I acknowledge you yet again, which is, what are your 4 superpowers?
Oh, that's interesting to say. Well, the 4 superpowers are um, here, I'll give them to you. They're your stories. So you've already heard a few of my stories.
Hmm?
They're your style, your unique aesthetic, like what really matters to you.
Mhm.
They are actually your presence. So being present here with you now is a superpower. Everybody can do this, but also in person. Because when in the age of deep fakes, paradoxically, being present with somebody, even it counts, being on Zoom with them, that counts. And then finally, what is the fourth one? Oh, yes. This is definitely one of my superpowers is coaching. So
Mm.
coaching, you can call it leadership if you
Yeah.
like that word better. But what I know about coaching, having taught coaches for many years and researched it, is the Socratic method. So the Socratic method is
Okay.
asking powerful questions,
Mhm.
and then sitting and waiting while the other person goes, let me think that through. That actually creates new neural pathways in somebody's brain. It actually grows myelin. It changes the person, sometimes even permanently, with an aha that stays with them thereafter. If you just give the answer, they probably won't even remember it 5 seconds later or 30 seconds later. This is also even more important now because people are working with ChatGPT or Claude or other LLMs. And what are they doing? They're receiving answers passively, which is not going to make you smarter. It's not going to grow your brain. So I'm contrasting a human superpower is asking powerful questions, is seeing the greatness in others and inviting them to step into their greatness. That's one of my real superpowers. Like I see the greatness in others and I invite them to step into it. Because as I hold clear my vision of their greatness, they see it too. And then they can step into it.
So I feel very much inspired. Aurora Winter, it has been a true breath of fresh air. So I am very grateful to you for making time for me and for our audience for all of it. It's not just providing hope, but which is always nice, but I love the fact that it's rooted in systems and strategies and practical exercises and research and science. And to me, that's what just cements real authenticity. So I'm very grateful that you showed up today. Thanks so much for making the time.
Thanks for the opportunity, John.
1000%. Folks, you just heard another episode of Your Message Received. Keep liking, watching, sharing, and we'll keep driving more content through your front door. John Duffin with Duffin Media, signing out. Have a great rest of the day. We'll talk soon. Bye.
And now, making its way across the finish line, Your Message Received has been a production of Duffin Media.